And it will, there we go, recording starting.
Great.
Right.
Okay to start?
Yep, off you go.
Okay, hello, my name is Ellie and I'm the Operations Support Manager in the Patient Access team. We are what is termed the front door team for all age continuing care referrals into the Cheshire hub. The purpose of this demonstration is to show clinical staff how to access the digital workflow system and how to submit a fast track referral. This system has been in place for over 3 years now, and we accept fast track referrals, checklist referrals, mental health referrals, and children's referrals via this digital portal. It forms part of the NHS digital transformation process. If you require a login and do not have one, then you need to email the patient access team with your full name, email address, telephone number, and organisation. You will then be set up with a login. The email address to email is cheshire.chc-cc@nhs.net. An email will then be sent to you with instructions on how to log in. Your username is your email address, and you will be given a generic password, which you can change if you wish. If you have any problems or queries with IEG4, including problems with logging in, you should contact the patient access team via email. And to remind you, it's cheshire.chc-cc@nhs.net. Some of the common problems can be avoided by ensuring that you are opening the portal link in Microsoft Edge. You must also ensure that all information is completed and there are no blank boxes. If there is information missing, you will be unable to submit and progress the case. So I'm now going to share my screen and take you through the test system. So you'll be able to see how the system works. So you will be sent a link to the fast track portal. I'm just going to share. This may take one moment as my laptop is a little slow. Okay, so you will be sent a login as well as a link to the fast track digital portal, and you need to make sure that you paste this link into, as I said, Microsoft Edge. Your username will be your email address and your password will be a generic password sent to you, but you can then change it once you log in for the first time. So you'll need to paste the link, sign in. Now, I am in the test system, not the live system, but the system will look exactly the same for you. Now, when you log into the portal for the first time, you won't see any cases because this will be the first time that you log in. But it's a cloud-based system, so you can log in, start typing up a fast track and then save it for later, sign out, sign back in. And if you do that, your case, if you've saved it, will be sitting in your workflow. This is the case that we're going to do today for Minnie Mouse. As you can see, I started this earlier, I saved it, and now I've logged back in and I can now reopen it and continue editing it. If you want to start a whole new fast track, then obviously you need to go to the top right-hand corner of the screen and press New. Just to mention, as I said, we accept a number of different types of CHC referrals through this portal. Your username will be exactly the same for every type of referral, but the link will be different. So if you are also a practitioner that is able to submit checklist referrals, then you'll be sent a separate link for a checklist referral. And when you log in, just make sure that on the left-hand side, it clearly says CHC fast track if you want to submit a fast track. If it's a checklist, it will say checklist. So it's clear that you're submitting it via the right portal. So I'm just going to open up this case now. When you open up the case, it's worth noting that nearly all aspects of this digital application form mirror the national framework, the fast track tool that is issued by NHS England. There is no difference between the paper copy and the digital copy. The first page you can see here along the left hand side, there's various different, there's a menu here, and each section is is labelled. So the first section is the patient information. Any boxes with stars next to them, you need to ensure that you complete those boxes and the information is filled out. So obviously you've got patient information first of all. You've then got the address of the patient. And it does ask you to state, is this patient currently at their permanent address? If they're in a hospice or a hospital, then you would obviously say no, and then include here where exactly the patient is, so that the clinicians and the duty team are aware. Furthermore, you need to ensure that we have some next of kin information. There is an opportunity to copy patient address if, for example, the next of kin is a spouse that lives with the patient, so that you can avoid retyping the information for a second time. There is then the question in relation to consent form, and you just need to answer that. And you also need to state the GP practitioner. Now, if you don't know the name of the patient's GP, specific GP, that's fine. I'd suggest that you write the name of the GP surgery in this box. Now, I am in the test system. When you click on the drop-down menu, it will list every single GP in Cheshire. So you just need to ensure that you're selecting the correct patient's GP, and every GP in Cheshire is in the list. So you will find the GP surgery that you're looking for. I am just going to select the dummy Cheshire East option. Once that's complete, we're going to move on to the next screen. Now, it will not allow you to move on to the next screen if you haven't completed some information. And if you haven't completed the information, it will highlight the boxes in red and will not allow you to move on to the next screen. So you just need to review and make sure you've added the information. Now, I am in the test system. So unfortunately, I'm not able to expand the questions in relation to the consent. But as part of the minimum data for a fast track referral, obviously the essential thing is a fast track tool. We also require a consent form. When we first launched this system, we were accepting manual consent forms. However, we've now built in a consent form into the system. So this means providing that you answer the questions that will be populated under this title consent, it will generate a consent or a best interest form based on the answers and the information that you've provided. And it will generate a PDF not only of the fast track tool, but also for the consent form. So this then avoids us having to chase yourselves for a consent form if you haven't actually submitted it. So that's the consent page. Once you've completed all of those questions, you'll then save and move on to the next screen, and you'll press next. This then takes you to the equality and monitoring. Now, unlike the first page where it highlights any boxes that you haven't completed, unfortunately, the equality monitoring doesn't do that, but it's absolutely essential that you answer every single question and that there isn't a blank box. It will not allow you to submit the fast track at the end if you haven't completed every answer to the questions. So the first three questions are automatically populated. The first two questions are automatically populated based on the information that you've inserted in the patient tab. The additional questions you need to make sure that you answer around disability, yes, no, prefer not to answer. And then there's further options in relation to ethnicity, religious affiliation, and sexual orientation. There are various options, including unknown or I prefer not to answer. So even if the patient declines to answer these questions, you must obviously select that as an option, otherwise it will not let you move on. We then move on to the next screen, and this is where you can upload documents. So as I said, the minimum data and documentation we require for a fast track tool is obviously the fast track tool itself and the consent form, which is automatically generated when you type and submit a fast track via the portal. But we also require a fast track care plan. And you should all have a template for a fast track care plan. If you don't, then please email the patient access team via the email address that I provided at the beginning, and we can send you a template for a care plan. Unfortunately, the care plan is not built into the system, so you will need to upload that as a separate document. And there is a list here of various options. Care plan is obvious. You should select that, choose the file wherever the care plan is saved on your desktop or computer, and then upload it. And it will once it's been uploaded, it will list the care plan here. You can delete it if you then have mistakenly uploaded the wrong document. You can also upload any other types of information. If there's any supporting evidence, it doesn't matter what it is. If you think it's relevant, you can upload that as well. And you can just select supporting evidence. So, but the fast track will not be approved unless we have a care plan. So you do need to make sure that you upload the care plan as well. Once you've done that, it then takes us to the recommendation tab. And this box must be completed, and you must put your recommendation and some sort of evidence to support your rationale. It doesn't need to be, extremely lengthy. It just needs to include the salient points. Now, I did mention at the start that this digital portal reflects the paper fast track tool, and it does. The only additions are these bits of information at the end of the fast track tool, which don't appear on the paper fast track. You just need to make sure you select yes to answer these 3 questions. If you don't, it will not allow you to progress the fast track. So please ensure that you've selected yes. The additional boxes here don't need to be completed. I mean, you're more than welcome to add information if you wish, but they're not part of the framework and the fast track tool, so you can just leave them blank. However, you must either put a dot in the boxes or NA, otherwise, again, it will not allow you to submit the fast track. And when you get to the end, you should also ensure that the date of the fast track is also highlighted. If you click on the calendar button, it brings up a little calendar and you can select the relevant date that the fast track was completed. This is the date that you went out and saw the patient and completed the fast track, not necessarily the date that you're now submitting it. So if you completed the fast track yesterday, then that should be the date, not today's date. And when you get to the end, it should highlight in green a submit button, okay? If it doesn't, it means that you haven't completed a box, and you would need to go back through the fast track and ensure that you've completed all the boxes. Now, as I said, on the patient tab, it will highlight missing boxes red, so you instantly know what information is required. Unfortunately, the equality monitoring doesn't, and very often people will email saying, I can't submit the fast track, and it transpires that a box or a question in the equality monitoring wasn't completed. So just ensure that you are completing that. And the other common error is that the date isn't filled out either, and therefore the submit button doesn't appear. So please try those troubleshooting points first before you email the patient access team, obviously saying that there's an issue. And that is essentially how you submit a fast track. Once you press submit, you will receive an automatic email which confirms that the fast track has been submitted, and it will include a unique ID for the fast track, and you can save that email for future reference. You can also, once you've pressed submit, the next window, it will take you to a download option, which will give you the option to download a copy of the fast track tool, which you're more than welcome to do so that you can save it to your own systems and for your own records. There is an option here, as I mentioned at the beginning, for save for later. So if you're halfway through a fast track and for whatever reason you need to come back to it later, you can press save for later, and it will then save. And once you log back in, it will appear in the opening window and you can edit it. And that is how you submit a fast track. So I will leave it there. If you've got any issues, as I said, please feel free. The patient access team is the main team that sets up any logins and solves any queries or problems with the system in the first instance. So please, as a reminder, the email address is cheshire.chc-cc@nhs.net. Thanks very much.